Our next contestant is Deborah Cockerham. The title of her presentation today is Smartphones, Smart Teens.
Picture your life without a smartphone. No mobile technology. When you get lost, you don't have a map at the touch of your finger. If you're waiting in line, you can't check your messages. You can't choose what music you listen to when you work out. But why would you work out if you can't track your steps? If life without a smartphone is hard for you to imagine, think how much harder it is for today's teens who have never known life without 24/7 access to technology. 95% of today's teens either own or have access to smartphones, and half of them claim to be online almost constantly. Excessive use of smartphones has been linked with depression, anxiety, shorter attention spans, and social communication problems. Studies recommend that all schools teach digital responsibility, but only 25% of schools actually do. And this is the focus of my research. How can schools help teens use smartphones responsibly? My study will test a training method in which middle school students work as scientists who ask questions, investigate evidence, and share their findings about smartphone use. Before and after the 9-week training, I will measure the amount of time the teens spend on their phones, their most used apps, their attitudes towards their smartphones, and their satisfaction with life. I'll compare the before and after measurements to determine the impact of my training method upon the teens' use of smartphones and their awareness of their smartphone habits. My goal is to develop an effective approach to help teens balance life in the physical world with the lure of the glowing screen. The huge gap between the 95% of teens who use smartphones daily and the 25% of schools who teach digital responsibility reinforces the critical need to develop an effective plan now while we can still reach our teens. My hope is that educating the digital leaders of the future will empower our teens to make smart choices with their smartphones. And now, picture another scene. You're using your map, you've checked your messages, and teens are using their smartphones to build a safer, more connected world. You won't have to imagine life without a smartphone. We can all learn to use our smartphones responsibly. Thank you.